Hello, one all! It's my View That Time Reincarnated Slime, Season 2, Episode 9. And right off the bat, I am seeing a lot of people online complaining this episode felt too dragged out. And you know, fair enough, I love Maleem's backstory. I ranted and raved about it in my last video, but I didn't need to see it again. They didn't need to start this episode by showing it to us again. We remember it. It was fairly memorable. And you know, looking back to the rest of the season, it does seem like there have been several points that could have been told in much, much less time than they took, so interesting. I mean, my best guess about this is they're trying to reach a very specific point in the series before they go on break, and it does make sense if that is the point I'm thinking of. You know, that's a very natural stopping point. It wraps up a lot of loose threads, answers a lot of questions, but still, you know, leaves us hyped for what's going to come next. And I'm very excited for that, but still, you know, it feels like the pacing has definitely been kind of off this season. Anyway, second thing people are complaining about is the minute-and-a-half flashback we got of everything Rimuru's basically been through since he was stabbed and died and reincarnated as a slime. You know, that is important because something the anime doesn't really explain here is that Rimuru is 100% expecting the people to turn on him here. He figured, you know, once I tell them the truth, once I tell them I used to be human, this is all happened because of my selfishness, they'll agree. They'll basically turn on me. They'll kick me out of Tempest. They'll, you know, want to leave, something like that. But no, in fact, they won't even let Rimuru apologize. He keeps trying to apologize, and they all keep saying, you know, no, it was my fault. No, it was my fault. No, it was my fault. Like a full-on I am Spartacus moment here, and I freaking love that. They're basically all saying, you know, if we had done better, if we had worked harder, if we had been more observant, then we could have prevented this from happening. We could have prevented them from hurting us, from killing our loved ones, and I freaking love that. And this does make a lot of sense. I mean, first and foremost, they are monsters. The whole survival of the fittest thing is basically ingrained into their DNA, and despite his appearance, Rimuru is the strongest among all of them, but it really goes beyond that. I mean, let's not forget, when he first came to this world, he found the goblins living in, you know, basically stick huts. Now they live in mansions, they have soft beds, running water, flushing toilets, and a freaking hot spring. Rimuru has been good to them, and even more than that, he's been decent to them, you know, despite their species, despite their strength, he's treated them all equally with dignity and respect, and they, you know, they really admire him for that. So no matter what Rimuru does in the future, no matter how selfish his decisions are, they will follow him because despite the last few days, he has been good to them, and he has made their lives better than they could have ever imagined. And then the question is raised, what do we do about humans? What do we do about humanity as a whole? And this is where I think the anime fails quite a bit, because there's a great scene in the manga and light novel that happens after Rimuru gets back to town before he finds out about Shion, where a bunch of the merchants come to him and say, listen, Rimuru, you've been great for our business. Whatever you need, we'll provide it for you. We'll help you out in this war. And that's followed up by the adventurers who have made Tempest their home base, saying, listen, Rimuru, you've been good to us as well, so we're willing to fight beside you against one of the largest nations in the world, as well as the church itself. Oh, I love that. And it just really showed, you know, why Rimuru was right to trust humans, because his goodness and decency towards humans came back to him, and people who were loyal to him, people who were willing to help him when he was in need, and I freaking love that. But, you know, Rimuru didn't want any of them getting hurt in this battle, so he sent them back to Blumend. Though it's a very important note, they didn't send them along the road to the west to Blumend. Instead, he teleported them directly to Blumend. And this is very significant. You know, people are wondering, okay, wait, why are the other worlders on the road to the west? Well, that was because they were planning on murdering any traveler or merchant or adventurer who tried to flee from Tempest, because, you know, witnesses would be very, very bad in this whole evil cover-up they're planning. God, they're awful. They are so freaking awful. Anyway, Rimuru decides basically that he's going to become a demon lord so that everyone starts respecting him. So all the nations in the world basically realize, okay, I should not mess with that town of monsters because it's run by a freaking demon lord. But it's more than that, though, because people also realize, okay, wait a minute. If I become an ally of Rimuru, who is a demon lord, then, you know, I can have him negotiate with the other demon lords if there's ever any issue. If Maleem is on her way to murder me and my entire family, I can go to Rimuru and ask him to step in and try and negotiate things with her. That makes Rimuru so valuable an ally to have, and it's great logic right there. I really do like that. And then we get to the map. This is actually something I want to talk about for a while. It's never come up. In the world that Rimuru was in, maps don't exist. When Rimuru was first planning out the orc invasion and all that, he was like, all right, well, show me a map of the area. And they're like, what's a map? It took him a very long time to explain the concept of a map to the ogres and the goblins, and I freaking love that. Kaijin, though, had actually heard of a map before, but apparently it's like a top government secret. You know, maps give lay of the lands, and they're useful for war and whatnot, so the only people who actually have maps are like kings, so that they can plot and plan for when eventually they're attacked by some foreign nation. I don't know, that's such a small detail, but I freaking love it in this series. Really just does a great job with the world building. I mean, it is explained monsters don't actually need maps because, you know, they have thought communications. They can basically say, go to this location. All right, I'll go over there. And, you know, they don't actually need it. But for humans, at least for the kings, they need it for warfare. And then Rimuru announces he's gonna go murder 20,000 people, which, oh, I freaking love that. Though again, I am seeing people complaining about that online, saying like, oh, that's not a big deal, he killed all his orcs, he's killed plenty of people, but unless my memory is really faulty on this, I don't think he has. I mean, I think the only intelligent monsters he's killed since coming to this world were Ranga's father and the orc disaster. I think that's it. I mean, it was the ogres and Ranga who killed all the other orcs, so yeah, I mean, this is really shows now how much Shion's death has affected him. People were saying, like, oh, if she can just be revived, then there was no actual point to her death. No, there was a point. It was to make Rimuru into a person he is today, into the person he is in this episode, a person who's willing to do whatever it takes for the sake of his friends, for his family, even if it means staining his hands completely red with blood. And I cannot freaking wait to see that. And speaking of people complaining, a lot of people were complaining last episode about how, oh, Rimuru should have killed Mulan, he should have imprisoned her, should have done this, should have done that. But no, he let her live for a very important reason. That was to help with the barrier spell that Shuna's about to cast to make sure that none of the souls, fly away. There was a reason he kept her alive and free, because he needed her. He needed her strength and her magical skill here. And then Rimuru figures out that Clayman's big plan is to start this war so he could basically use all the souls of the dead to turn himself into a true demon lord. And I saw a lot of confusion about that online, so let me just explain it real quick. Basically, anyone can declare themselves to be a demon lord. It's not that hard. But the problem is that if the other demon lords decide that you don't have the strength to back it up, they will come and murder you. So you can only really declare yourself a demon lord if you have the necessary strength. That being said, there's a big difference between a demon lord and a true demon lord. Basically, demon lords are ones who are recognized by the Council of Demon Lords, 10 great demon lords, as being strong enough to call themselves demon lords. A true demon lord, that's the whole 10,000 sacrifice thing. It's someone who is recognized by the world itself as being a demon lord. And among the Council of 10 demon lords, all the demon lords in existence, only, I think, like 5 of them are actually true demon lords. I might have that number mixed up, but I'm going to say about 5 are true demon lords, while 5, not so much. And Clayman wants to become a true demon lord. He wants the power from it. Of course, you might be wondering, well, then why doesn't Clayman just go murder 10,000 people? Well, that's a bit tricky. I mean, for one thing, there are a lot of treaties and whatnot between the demon lords basically saying, hey, don't cause any mess for us, don't interfere with our trade, our business, or anything like that. So his choices for who to murder are a bit limited. But more than that, if you just went out and murdered 10,000 people, the church, and more importantly, Hinata, would come and, hunt him down and kill him. Yeah, I don't like his odds of winning a fight against Hinata. I really don't. So he needs to do this as slyly and secretly as possible, basically making it seem like he had no role to play in this, while at the same time he was manipulating everything from behind the scenes. That'll give him the necessary souls he needs to turn himself into a true demon lord. Anyway, in the rest of the episode, we see Gabiru reunite with his men, which I freaking love, seriously. Oh, those guys are just really shining this season, last episode, the one before that, they saved all those kids. Now here they have the big cheerful reunion with their boss. Oh, I freaking love them. I freaking love them so much. And then Benimaru goes to go fight 100 knights by himself, and I just love how casually he's walking up to them. He's not running, he's not in a hurry. He's like, yep, I'm gonna murder all those people. And they don't even notice him because, it's such a bizarre sight. One person walking up to them that they can't even really fathom him. They can't even comprehend that this person could be a threat against them. Oh, I cannot wait to see him kill them. I cannot wait for that. An angry Benimaru fully unleashing his strength. Oh, that's a rare sight. That is a rare sight indeed, and I cannot freaking wait for that. And then we see Agapta, Rigger, Gelt, and Hakurou going to go murder the Otherworlders. Oh, I really, really can't wait for that. And seriously, can we just take a minute to appreciate this group of people and how far they've come because of Rimuru? I mean, when Rimuru first met the goblins, they were as weak as can be, and the direwolves were trying to murder them. Now they're working in tandem as a team. When we first met Hakurou, he was an ogre seeking revenge against orcs. Now he's teamed up with the son of the orc that destroyed his village. I freaking love it. I freaking love it. How far these people have come, how close they've become because of Rimuru uniting them and bonding them together. I cannot freaking wait to see them murder the Otherworlders. I cannot wait for that. And then the final scene, the final shot. You're all going to be food for me. Oh, Rimuru means it. He really, really means it. And I just so freaking excited to see him devour them all, consume the lives of 20,000 people for what they have done to him, for what they've done to his people. Oh, that's going to be so freaking amazing. I cannot wait for it. I cannot wait for it. Seriously, next episode is called Megiddo. That's another word for Armageddon. So, oh, that's going to be fun. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really hoping next episode is, both the team before going and fighting, destroying the crystals, taking down the barrier, all that, and Rimuru declaring war on Falmouth, essentially attacking their home base himself. I mean, I definitely think, those battles could be worth it, but I really would hate if next episode was just the battle with those 4 teams and then ended with Rimuru about to attack Fulmus. Like, come on, man. We've been waiting long enough. We want to see this. We want to see what happens next. Oh, but please, let me tell us down below. What do you think of Rimuru? What do you think of the monsters accepting him for being human? What do you think's gonna happen next? Do you actually think he's gonna go murder 20,000 people? You think he's gonna limit 10,000? I mean, that's a lot of people to kill when he's never actually killed a person in his life. That's really going from 0 to 60 in all of 2 seconds. And yeah, just let me think all that down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, next video. Until then, peace!